I didn't kill him, I just made sure he watched his empire burn from the ground up. If you're here for a story about karma catching up to someone, buckle up. This one's personal. And before you ask, no, I didn't break any laws, I think, but I sure as hell broke a man's life into 1,000 sharp little pieces. See, the thing about betrayal is it never comes from your enemies. It comes from the guy you'd bleed next to on a job site at 3 a.m. laying rebar in the rain, sharing a thermos of burnt coffee. It comes from someone you trust like family. My name's Adam, and until about 2 years ago, I thought Derek was my brother. Not by blood, but by sweat, stress, and every bad decision we made building a construction company from the ground up. We weren't fancy. We didn't wear ties to work. We got our hands dirty. I handled the crews, the site management, the building, the real work. Derek handled the books, payroll, bids. I trusted him to run the office like I ran the field. It worked for a while. Yeah? Derek's living in a one-bedroom apartment above a laundromat, watching his LinkedIn notifications dry up like spilled beer in the desert. Last I heard, he was applying for jobs at hardware stores, and every time I drive by one, I almost stop in. Just to see if I could catch him behind a customer service desk wearing that orange apron. But nah, that would be too kind. Let's back up. About 18 months ago, I was overseeing this massive office park project on the edge of town. Big money, big timeline, lots of moving pieces. One of those jobs that makes or breaks your quarter. The site had these scaffolds that felt off. I flagged it. Told Derek we needed to bring in a specialist to double-check. He waved me off, said the inspections were solid and hiring another guy would eat into our margins. Classic Derek. Fast forward 3 weeks, I'm on that same scaffold when it gives out beneath me. For stories down, I fall. Shattered my femur. Fractured a couple ribs. Sprained my pride. They airlift me out. I'm in the hospital for weeks. Rehab for months. Could have died, but somehow my stubborn ass pulled through. They told me I was lucky. Which felt like an odd thing to say when I was relearning how to walk without looking like I just rode a horse through the Rockies. You'd think Derek, the guy I built this life with, would have been there. Even a text. A voicemail. Nope. Instead, I got a single email. Subject line, take the time you need. The body? 2 lines. Focus on getting better. The business is in good hands. I should have known something was up right then, but pain meds make you slow and hope makes you stupid. I told myself he was just busy holding things together. Turns out, while I was laid up, Derek was doing more than just holding things together. He was pulling apart everything we built, starting with me. When I got home, my own home, I found the locks changed. Derek moved himself right in. My house. My dog. Even Rachel, my fiancée. Yeah. While I was learning to walk again, she was learning how to fake it with Derek. Classy, right? But hey, I'm not here to whine. That's not the story. This story is about how I turned that betrayal into the slowest, most satisfying revenge I could cook up. Because Derek? He thought he left me for dead. He just didn't realize the dead can still bury you. After the locks changed and Rachel disappeared faster than a cold beer at a barbecue, I did what any red-blooded man would do. I sat on my front porch, propped up on crutches, cracked open a 6-pack, and stared at my house like it was some foreign embassy I couldn't cross into without getting shot. Derek's truck was parked in my driveway. My dog barked from inside like he didn't even know me. I could have burned it all down right then. Gone full scorched earth. But that's not how you get real revenge. That's not how you make someone feel it in their bones. No, first, you let them relax. You let them think they've won. I disappeared. It wasn't hard. Everyone assumed I was broken. Mentally, physically, financially. The guy falls off a scaffold and loses his company, his home, his girl? They don't expect a comeback story. They expect a headline on page 5 about some guy they used to know. But me? I was just getting started. I checked myself into a rehab facility, one of those quiet ones up north. No internet, no visitors, just a lot of people working through their own demons. But I wasn't there for healing. I was there to plan. And to be honest, to watch him. Yeah, I might have been off-grid, but my lawyer buddy Marcus? He wasn't. Marcus and I go way back. He used to run crews with me before his knees gave out and he went to law school. He owed me a favor or two. So, while I was doing laps in a therapy pool, Marcus was digging through the company records. Access Derek didn't know I still had. And what he found? Oh, buddy. Let me pause here and tell you something about Derek. He always had this way of talking about money like it was a game. Numbers on a page. Not real. To me, money was time. It was how you kept your guys paid, your projects moving, your name clean. To Derek? It was just a scorecard. And while I was busting my ass in the mud, Derek had been playing fast and loose with the books. Padding invoices. Fudging labor reports. Even some creative accounting with our insurance claims. But here's the kicker, my accident? That scaffold? Derek knew it was faulty. He signed off on delaying repairs because, in his words, OSHA only cares if someone dies. I guess I just didn't meet the quota. So, while Derek was out there living large, posting Instagram selfies from my deck, drinking my whiskey, I was compiling a file that would make the IRS sweat. But I wasn't ready to swing yet. No, I wanted to gut him slowly. So, I made the first move. I sent Derek a text. First one since the accident. Hope the house is treating you well. Don't worry, I'm focusing on getting better. He responded 2 hours later with some garbage about wishing me the best and being there when I'm ready to return to the business. Yeah, sure. I let him think I was buying it. Meanwhile, Marcus and I set up a shell company. Nice, clean branding. Fake investors. We named it Ironclad Capital. Sounded like money. Sounded like opportunity. I knew Derek couldn't resist a good deal. The stage was set. Because Derek? He had a big fish on the line, a government contract worth $50 million. The kind of job that would set him up for life. And me? I was about to cut the line. But not before I made sure he swallowed the hook. So here's what you need to know about Derek. The man couldn't resist new money. Flash something shiny in front of him and he'd follow it like a dog chasing a steak. Ironclad Capital? That was the stake. Through Marcus, we made it look like Ironclad was swimming in venture funding. A new player in the construction investment world backing projects for quick returns. We built the website slick, threw in some buzzwords like sustainable infrastructure and innovative capital solutions. Even put together a fake portfolio. Photoshopped cranes and job sites with happy crews wearing crisp PP, all smiling like OSHA mascots. Derek? He bit hard. First, he reached out through LinkedIn, sliding into our DMs like we were an Instagram model. Hey, love what Ironclad is doing. Would love to talk partnerships. Of course you would, Derek. Marcus, playing the role of chief investment officer, arranged a meeting at a steakhouse. Real fancy joint downtown. I wasn't there. Couldn't risk blowing my cover. But Marcus? He played it perfect, ordered a rare steak, talked shop, listened as Derek laid out his dream, that government contract. This deal is my ticket, Derek told him. $50 million in government funding. But I need some upfront capital to handle equipment, hiring, safety certifications. Safety certifications. Oh, the irony. Marcus played the part. Nodded like he gave a damn. Promised that Ironclad Capital might be able to help, but they'd need to see the paperwork. The bids. The safety reports. Full access. And Derek? He practically threw it at us. So now I had everything. His fraudulent safety audits. His cookbooks. Proof that he hadn't just cut corners on my accident, he'd made a damn career out of it. But I wasn't ready to yank that leash just yet. I needed Derek to dig deeper. I needed him leveraged so hard that when I pulled the rug out, he'd fall face first into concrete. So Marcus dangled the money. Promised millions in investment if Derek showed he could handle the job. Derek, greedy bastard, started spending before he saw a dime. Ordered new equipment on credit. Hired extra crews. Boosted his own salary. We gave him just enough to feel confident. A couple $100,000 wired from Ironclad's offshore accounts, just monopoly money we shuffled around. Enough to get him on the hook, but not enough to actually fix any of the holes in his boat. And me? I stayed quiet. Worked on my recovery. Got strong. Played the role of the washed-up partner, broken and bitter. Every now and then, I'd post something vague on Facebook about healing and taking time to reflect. I even sent Derek a thank you note for keeping the company afloat. Slipped in a little smiley face at the end. Because why not? Let him think I was crawling back. Meanwhile, Derek sent out press releases. Patted himself on the back about this major upcoming project with government funding. Even got himself an article in the local business journal. The man couldn't help but show off. That was the thing about Derek. He loved to win. But more than that, he loved for everyone else to know he was winning. That's what made it so easy. Because the higher he climbed, the further he had to fall. And buddy, I was building the biggest drop. By now, Derek thought he was untouchable. He strutted through job sites in brand-new boots that had never seen mud. He bought himself a second truck, big, shiny, lifted because apparently one overcompensation machine wasn't enough. Rachel? She was right there beside him, playing Queen Bee, posting photos of their empire on social media like the two of them built it with their bare hands. I couldn't even be mad at Rachel anymore. She was a symptom, not the disease. Derek? He was the cancer in the bones of everything we'd built. And cancer? You cut it out. Slowly. The government contract was just weeks from signing. Derek had already started spending like the money was in his pocket. New gear, new hires, even a down payment on a lake house. Guy was drunk on his own success. Meanwhile, Marcus and I kept feeding him rope. He sent over more documents, emails, internal memos, updated safety audits. He even bragged about how he'd streamlined the inspection process. That's code for paying off an inspector to rubber stamp things. I had everything I needed. But why stop at enough? I wanted overkill. See, there's a difference between taking someone's money and taking their reputation. You take the money, maybe they recover. Maybe they start over. But you burn their name? You salt the earth they walked on? They never come back from that. So I made another move. Marcus, posing as Ironclad's investment lead, asked Derek for an exclusive site tour of the upcoming government project. Ironclad's putting serious money behind this, Marcus told him, but we need to see the operation firsthand. Derek, puffed up like a turkey in November, rolled out the red carpet, took Marcus through the site, showed off the equipment, introduced him to the crews. What Derek didn't know, we had an actual safety inspector on the payroll, retired OSHA vet who owed me a favor. While Marcus played the charming investor, our guy wandered the site, snapping photos. Cracked harnesses, unsecured scaffolding, violations everywhere, all under Derek's nose. But the cherry on top? The real showstopper? We found out Derek had been double booking hours on his payroll, billing the government for crews who were also working on private jobs at the same time. That's federal fraud. The kind of thing that makes the FBI perk up. And speaking of the feds, I made a call. Well, Marcus did through an anonymous tip line. Sent over a neat little dossier, fraudulent audits, rigged inspections, double-billed hours. Every dirty secret Derek thought he buried 6 feet deep. You could practically hear the sirens warming up. But we weren't done. Marcus reached out to Derek one last time. Investor jitters, he told him. Need one more big reassurance. Why don't you come to Vegas? Meet with the big dogs. Wine and dine. We'll close the deal face to face. Derek couldn't resist. He loved Vegas almost as much as he loved hearing himself talk. So while Derek was packing his bags, dreaming of dollar signs, the walls were already closing in. And me? I booked a front row seat for the fireworks. Vegas, baby. The land of bad decisions, worse cover bands, and men like Derek thinking they can't lose. He rolled into town with that overconfident swagger, wearing a cheap blazer and a smile like he was about to conquer Wall Street. Marcus and I set up the whole thing, rented a suite at the Bellagio, real high roller vibes. We even hired a couple of temps to play the part of Ironclad's executive team. Polished, corporate types. One of them used to work as a soap opera actor, which honestly felt fitting. Derek was eating it up. The first night, they wined him, dined him, let him talk. Oh, and did Derek talk? About how smart he was, how much money he was going to make, how he'd turned the company around after Adam went soft. Yeah, that one stung a little. But I swallowed it down. Because revenge, my friend, is best served with a side of patience. After dinner, Marcus pulled Derek aside. We're ready to move forward, he told him. But the board? They want total transparency. No skeletons. We need full disclosure before we wire anything else. And Derek, the arrogant son of a gun, said this. No worries, brother. My books are clean. Cleaner than a preacher's sheets. I nearly choked when Marcus relayed that back to me. That night, we let Derek enjoy himself. Gave him drink tickets for the casino, let him feel like the king of Vegas. Meanwhile, I was 3 floors up watching the final piece slide into place. Because back in Spokane, the feds were already knocking. That anonymous tip we'd sent? It landed on the right desk. Fraud. Safety violations. Government contract abuse. They didn't just open an investigation, they kicked in the damn door. Derek's office? Raided. His emails? Subpoenaed. His precious government contract? Suspended. But Derek didn't know that. Not yet. Not until breakfast. The next morning, we invited him back to the suite: bagels, coffee, fresh squeezed orange juice. We even laid out the fake contract for him to sign. And Derek? He strutted in like a man on top of the world. Marcus let him get halfway through his coffee before he dropped it. "Hey, Derek. You hear from Spokane lately?" Derek blinked. Shook his head. "Nah. Why?" Marcus slid him a copy of the local paper. Front page headline: Federal investigation targets local construction mogul, fraud allegations in multi-million-dollar contract. Derek laughed at first. One of those shaky, nervous laughs. "What is this? Some tabloid BS?" Marcus leaned in, calm as ever. "FBI raided your office yesterday. Took your servers. Locked your accounts. Your contract's frozen." Derek went pale. That's not possible. I just talked to." But the words dried up. Because right then, the TV in the suite flashed a breaking news update. Developing story: Spokane businessman Derek Weller under investigation for fraud and safety violations tied to federal contracts. Sources say the FBI is pursuing wire fraud and conspiracy charges. I'd arranged for the hotel to tune every TV in the suite to that channel. Just a little touch. Derek stood up, fumbling for his phone. Marcus smiled. "No need to call anyone. They're probably calling you." "And me?" I finally stepped out from the back room. Watched his eyes go wide. "Hey, Derek." He couldn't even speak. Just stared at me like he was seeing a ghost. "You left me for dead," I said. "But look at you now." Derek just stood there, mouth half open, looking like a kid caught stealing from the cookie jar, except the cookie jar was wired with explosives and the FBI was holding the detonator. His hand trembled on his phone, trying to unlock it, probably hoping to call someone, anyone who could tell him this wasn't happening. But right on cue, the thing buzzed in his grip. Over and over. I could see the notifications lighting up. Federal contract suspended. Account access frozen. Legal counsel urgently required. Problem? I asked, leaning against the doorway. He opened his mouth, shut it, then opened it again like a fish gasping for air. "What the hell is this, Adam? What are you doing here?" "Oh, this," I said, motioning around the suite. "Just watching Karma finally clock in for the day." Derek slumped into one of the chairs like his legs couldn't hold him up. "This is, you set me up." I raised my eyebrows. "Set you up?" "Oh no, buddy. You set yourself up. I just made sure the right people noticed." I walked over, grabbed the fake contract he'd been so eager to sign, and tore it in half right in front of him. "That was never real," I added. "Ironclad Capital? That's just a name we made up. But hey, the look on your face? Worth every penny." Marcus, ever the professional, stayed quiet, arms folded, just watching the show. Honestly, the man deserved an Oscar for the role he played. Derek's face shifted, anger, confusion, desperation, all mashed together into a pale, sweaty mess. "You can't do this," he stammered. I'll call my lawyer. I'll sue you for entrapment or something." I couldn't help but chuckle. "Entrapment? Buddy, I'm not a cop. You handed over every piece of evidence willingly, remember? Full transparency, just like you said." For a second, I thought he might throw something. The veins in his neck were popping like overcooked sausages. But then the fight drained right out of him and he sagged lower. "That government deal was everything," he muttered, like he was talking to himself more than us. "Everything I built." I leaned in closer, dropping my voice. "Everything we built, Derek. You just figured you could cut me out of it while I was broken." I could see the gears turning, trying to calculate if there was any way out of this hole. But there wasn't. I'd made sure of it. "You want to know the best part?" I asked. "You're not even going to prison right away." "No, the investigation will take months. You'll spend every day knowing the feds are watching you, combing through everything. They'll bleed you dry before they slap the cuffs on." He shook his head, eyes wild. You ruined me." I smiled just a little. "No, Derek. You ruined you. I just helped shine the light." He slammed his fists on the table, standing so fast the chair toppled behind him. "This isn't over. I'll find a way out of this. I always do." I stood too slowly, stretching my leg. "The one he damn near cost me in that fall." "You might wiggle out of the charges," I said, "but your name? Your reputation? That's gone." I turned to leave, but I couldn't resist one last jab. "Oh, and Rachel? She's gone too. Canceled the lease on that lake house. She figured out pretty quick the cash flow was drying up." I didn't even look back. I just walked out of that suite, leaving Derek to stew in the disaster he'd made. You ever see a man unravel in slow motion? I mean really come apart, like peeling layers off an onion until there's nothing left but the sting in his eyes? That was Derek. After Vegas, he tried to hold it together. I give him credit, he didn't fold right away. Still strutted around Spokane like he wasn't the star of his own personal financial apocalypse. Put on the same cheap blazer, flashed the same toothy smile. But the cracks were there. The government contract? Gone. Suspended indefinitely while the feds combed through every dusty corner of his operation. His accounts? Frozen tighter than a lake in January. No funds moving in, but the bills? Oh, they kept stacking. And Derek? He wasn't exactly frugal. First thing to go was that shiny new truck, repoed right out of his driveway. I heard about it from Marcus, who was still keeping tabs from a distance. He chased the tow truck down the street in flip-flops, Marcus told me over beers one night, yelling about calling the cops. I almost choked on my drink. But that was just the appetizer. 2 weeks later, the bank foreclosed on his lake house. Rachel? She packed up her designer bags and bolted. Left Derek with nothing but a mattress on the floor and a stack of unopened bills. You know how I found out? Derek's social media went dark. Cold turkey. No more hashtag building my empire posts. No more photos of scotch tastings or weekend getaways. The man disappeared like a fart in the wind. But Spokane's not that big. I started hearing whispers. Derek showing up at dive bars. Talking about how he was the real victim, how someone set him up. Begging old contacts for work, burning bridges faster than he could build them. One of our old foremen ran into him outside a lumber yard. Said he was looking for small gigs, the guy told me. Didn't even have tools. I didn't gloat. Not out loud. But inside? I'll admit it felt damn good. But the real kicker? The industry blackball. Remember that safety inspector I had on the payroll? He didn't just help me gather evidence, he knew people. And those people? They talked. Word got out fast. Derek's name was mud. No contractor in the region would touch him. He couldn't even get hired to consult on a project. Liability risk, they said. Too much baggage. And while Derek was scraping the bottom, I was moving on. I didn't want the company back. That ship had sailed. Too many bad memories in those walls. Instead, I used the shell of ironclad capital. Yeah, I kept the name, sounded too good not to start consulting for small contractors. Helped the little guys navigate safety regs, avoid the traps Derek fell into. And the money? It wasn't bad. But the peace? That was priceless. Meanwhile, Derek? I heard he moved into a one-bedroom over a laundromat. You could almost smell the bleach and despair through the walls. He tried to reach out once. Sent me an email. Subject line, let's talk. No body. No apology. Just a Hail Mary, hoping I'd be dumb enough to throw him a rope. I left it sitting in my inbox unread. Because Derek? He needed to sit in that hole a little longer. You ever wonder what happens when a guy like Derek, someone who's always talked his way out of trouble, finally runs out of people to talk to? Turns out it's not pretty. About 3 months after the Vegas fallout, Marcus forwarded me a news article. Local peace? Nothing flashy. Spokane contractor declares bankruptcy amid federal investigation. Buried halfway down was a quote from Derek's lawyer. Something about unfounded allegations and expecting a resolution. Same song, different verse. But it was the photo that got me, a grainy shot of Derek outside the courthouse looking like someone had stolen his lunch money. No blazer this time. Just a wrinkled button-down and a face that had aged 10 years in 3 months. Bankruptcy. That was the final nail. Derek's company was gone. Auctioned off piece by piece to cover debts. His house? Foreclosed. His reputation? Toast. And me? I stayed quiet. No gloating. No public victory lap. I just kept doing my thing, consulting, keeping my head down, letting the world think I was out of the game. But then Derek did the one thing I didn't expect. He showed up. I was at this little diner I go to every Friday, best pancakes in Spokane, hands down, when I saw him through the window. Standing across the street, staring like he wasn't sure if he should cross or just keep walking. I kept eating. Figured maybe he'd take the hint. Nope. He walked in, shuffled over, and stood at the edge of my booth. Adam, he said, voice barely above a whisper. I looked up. Took him in. He looked hollow. Thinner. Eyes sunken, like sleep was something that happened to other people. I half expected him to fall over right there. Derek, I said, as calm as ordering coffee. Take a seat. He hesitated, then slid into the booth across from me. Didn't even order anything. Just sat there, hands clasped like a man praying for rain. I lost everything, he said after a long silence. I nodded. I know. I don't even know how it got this far, he muttered. I was just trying to keep the business afloat. You were out, man. I didn't know if you'd come back. I leaned back, crossed my arms. So you figured you'd steal everything while I was down? My company. My house. My fiancée. His eyes flickered. Rachel left. Said she couldn't deal with. He stopped. That's not the point. No, I said. It really is. He rubbed his face like he was trying to wipe off the last 3 months. I'm not here to fight, he said finally. I need help. Just a little. Alone. Enough to get me back on my feet. I almost laughed. Almost. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned in, kept my voice low. Derek, I gave you everything. Trust. Friendship. A company. And you sold me out for what? A few paydays? A lake house. He swallowed hard. No one's coming to save you, I said. Not me. Not Rachel. Not anyone. He stared at me like he didn't quite believe it. Like I'd throw him a bone just out of pity. But I didn't. Instead, I dropped a 20 on the table, stood up, and left him sitting there. Because some people need to hit the bottom. And some people? They need to stay there. After that run-in at the diner, I didn't see Derek again. Not in person, anyway. But I heard about him. Word around Spokane was that he tried to pick up odd jobs. A little drywall here, some handyman work there. Problem was, Derek wasn't much for honest labor. He didn't know how to swing a hammer right, much less rebuild a life from the ground up. No one wanted to work with him. Couldn't trust him. His name had become a punchline in every contractor's lunch trailer. You know what they say, trust takes years to build and seconds to break. Derek broke it in every direction. But me? I was finally free. I moved out of Spokane. Packed up my tools, whatever was left of the past, and found a place outside Coeur d'Alene. A small fixer-upper cabin with a view of the lake, a wraparound porch, and just enough work to keep my hands busy. No business partners. No employees. Just me, a toolbox, and the satisfaction of building something that wouldn't fall apart under my feet. Marcus kept pestering me to take on bigger consulting gigs. You've got the reputation now, he'd say. You could make serious money. But the thing was, I didn't need serious money. I just needed peace. I got a dog. Lab mix named Duke. Rescue. Big floppy ears and the habit of leaning his whole weight against you like he's making sure you're still solid. Good dog. Even started volunteering a bit, helping younger contractors with safety plans, teaching them how not to cut corners like Derek did. That felt right. Like putting something good back into the world. And every now and then, when the past crept up, when I thought about Rachel or that scaffold or the months I spent learning to walk again, I'd grab my sledgehammer, head outside, and swing until the sweat drowned out the memories. It worked. One day, Marcus called me up. You'll want to hear this, he said. Derek had finally caught a misdemeanor charge, unpaid taxes, of all things. He wasn't going to prison, but he was broke. Officially bankrupt. The feds closed their investigation without jail time, but Derek wouldn't work another decent job in construction again. His name was Poison. Guys talking about moving south, Marcus added. Starting fresh. Let him. I wasn't angry anymore. Not really. Derek was already serving a life sentence, a daily reminder that everything he touched turned to dust. As for me, I'd get up early, drink my coffee on the porch, Duke snoring at my feet, and watch the sunrise over the lake. Some mornings I'd let myself smile. I didn't need to tell the world I won. I just needed to know I survived. Here's the truth I didn't expect to learn when I started all this. Revenge? It doesn't fix what's broken. It doesn't unfall the scaffolding, undo the betrayal, or fill the space where people you trusted used to be. But it does clear the ground. And sometimes that's all you need to start building again. Derek faded into the background after that misdemeanor. Moved south like Marcus said he might. Last I heard, he was patching roofs for cash, running from the shadow of the name he burned to the ground. No more empires. No more contracts. Just the long, slow reckoning of a man who bet everything on greed and lost. I could have kept tabs on him. Followed every move. But what was the point? His story was over. Mine wasn't. I kept building. Some of the guys I used to work with would swing by the cabin now and then, help me put up a new shed or fix the deck. We'd talk shop, swap stories, sometimes bring up Derek just to laugh. Not mean-spirited. Just the way you remember old scars, you wince a little, but mostly you just shake your head and move on. Rachel? Never heard from her again. Maybe she's still chasing the next big thing, the next Derek. Or maybe she figured out that gold looks a lot like rust if you stare long enough. Either way, she was gone. And me? I was free. Free in a way I didn't know I could be. Not tied to the past. Not waiting for the next shoe to drop. Just living quiet days with Duke, working when I wanted, watching the lake change with the seasons. There was one moment about a year after it all went down when I realized I'd made it through. I was out on the porch, sanding down an old chair I'd pulled from a junk pile. The sun was setting, casting that soft orange light across the water. Duke was chasing some poor squirrel like he thought he had a chance. And I felt it. Not happiness exactly, but peace. The kind of peace you only get when you've hit the bottom, clawed your way back up, and built something with your own two hands. Something no one can steal. I sat there, ran my hand over the smooth wood, and thought. You won't read about this in the papers. No headlines. No viral posts. No dramatic courtroom scenes. But Derek knew. And I knew. And that was enough. So, yeah, I didn't kill him. I just made sure he watched everything he built burn down while I sat back and built something better. For me. For good. That's the story, my friend. Thanks for walking this road with me. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about breaking someone else down, it's about standing taller when the dust finally settles.